Welcome back. I'm Pat, that Halloween movie collector, and I'm back with another What If. This week's What If for Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. What if things turned out differently in the film? What if events didn't happen certain ways? What if events happened differently, different people? That's what I do with these What Ifs, just to see where they would go. Get everybody thinking about things that could have happened, especially when it comes to Halloween, because there's two versions of it. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, rather. You have the producer's cut, and you have the theatrical cut. I personally would like a blending of the two because there's stuff in each movie I like. That would have been the best what if. What if they just blended the two? But let's go through. I got 10 what ifs. Let's see if you have any what ifs. Think of them as I'm going through here. Drop them in the comments. So let's start with our number one. Number one, what if in Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, what if Jamie Lloyd survived? So now in the theatrical cut, she gets killed on that farming baler thing, whatever the hell it is. I don't even know what kind of tool that is. And in the producer's cut, she actually does survive and makes it to the hospital where the man in black comes and puts a bullet in her head and, like I said, unceremoniously kills her. So what if she had survived? How would it have worked out? She had a baby. What if she had met up with Tommy Doyle? Because really there was no connection there. How would that have played out when she had this baby? Who would she have turned to? Would she have looked for Dr. Loomis? Because she did make that phone call to the radio station saying, Dr. Loomis, are you out there? Would they have hooked up at some point? Would she have made her way back to the Myers house? I don't see why, because she really had no connection to it, but she could have hooked up with the Strode family and all sorts of scenarios if she had not been killed off unceremoniously in the beginning of the film. Number two, what if the Strode family didn't live in the Myers house? Would they have survived? Because, you would have thought it would have remained empty. Because predominantly in all the films, with the exception of this film and Halloween Kills, nobody lived in the Myers house anymore. It was always abandoned and it just stayed that way. What if they lived in a different home? Would they have all survived? Would Danny have heard the voices? Because technically he wasn't in the Myers house. Just like Mrs. Blankenship said. He hears the voices just like little Mikey Myers did. Maybe he wouldn't have had that sixth sense had he not been in that house. What if they were someplace else? Number three, we learned about Kara Strode, that she obviously must have got pregnant, maybe in high school or right after high school, moved away, had the kid, and then didn't see her family, came back, and of course, John Strode's a dick. He's got his chip on his shoulder and just treats her like shit. That bastard of yours, what a dick. I mean, still your grandson. Why you gotta be an asshole? What if she didn't live at home? What if she had an apartment? Would Danny have not heard voices because he technically didn't live in that house? How would that have played out? Maybe she wouldn't have been on the outs so bad with the family. But the dad, rather, because she wasn't on the outs with anybody else in the family. It was just the father, John. How would that have played out? Number four, now, if you it plays out in both cuts of the film. Tommy Doyle is listening to the Barry Sims radio show, and he records it, and he hears the announcement of the buses, being announced over a loudspeaker, so he knows it's the bus station. So he goes to the bus station and looks around and hears the baby crying and finds the baby. What if he didn't find the baby? He didn't know there was a baby there. What if somebody else came in and took the baby? And then turned it over, to say the police, Child Protective Services. Would Michael have known to go after them? And it could have been a completely different film, because if they didn't have the baby, Michael wouldn't have gone after them. Number five. This is a big one. Now, this is interesting. It probably wouldn't have happened in a million years, but number five. What if Dr. Loomis took up Dr. Wynn's offer to go back to Smith's Grove? Right? What if he said, you know what? He's thinking to himself, I buried the ghost of, he's writing his memoir, I've buried the ghost of Michael Myers. Maybe I'll go back to practicing medicine, or at least help out Dr. Wynn, because he's considered an old friend. So what if he had gone back and he had been there with all the exploits that went on there? Not necessarily the baby, because the baby had already been gone because they were there together and listening to that radio show. So the baby was already gone. So Loomis wouldn't have seen that. But Loomis would have been present for that giant massacre scene in the operating room later on. Would he have been able to help stop it? Or would he have been a casualty of it? Number six, I already brought him up before. John Strode. What if John Strode wasn't a dick? What if he wasn't a complete and total dick like he is? Just an asshole to his daughter, his grandson, his kids, his wife. What if he, was a more lovable character, was genuinely concerned and actually believed what was going on and told them the whole truth? Because you do find out in the film when Loomis goes to visit Deborah Strode, she learns the whole backstory. And then she's like, that's why you moved this in here, because you couldn't sell this house. So you figured, might as well just move everybody in there because I can't get rid of it. Meanwhile, all the backstory on that house was there and they weren't aware of it. Number 7, what if, at the rally and they have Barry Sims there, Barry kicks ass. There's a scene where obviously he's talking to the kids and he finds out that they live in the Myers house. And of course he's like, oh, let's go to the Myers house, investigate it. So you see him on the phone and he goes and he says, where's the goddamn van? And he gets in the white van. And of course, Michael comes from behind and kills him. What you don't know that you find out is that in theory, he's in the wrong van. Because it was supposedly be written that he was supposed to see the side of the van and he was supposed to see that it said Smith's Grove. That it was actually the van that Michael was in because it was the same type of van as the radio station van. That's the reason Michael was in the back. He wasn't necessarily targeting him. You really wouldn't know unless you know the backstory of all that shit. So what if Barry Sims got in the right van and made it over to the Myers house? That would have played out differently because now he's back at the house. And of course, all the killing that went on there, he would have been part of that. He would have got killed in the Myers house. So it would have been a different scenario. Would have been pretty cool. So throughout this, there's this whole general consensus that young Danny hears the voices just like Myers. What if, towards the end, he turned evil? Look what happened with Jamie Lloyd in part 4. He tried to kill the stepmother. What if he followed the voices in his head and you had that type of conclusion where he tried to kill somebody. He tried to kill Tommy or somebody, or he tried to kill his sister or his mom rather, or that would have been the logical thing, tried to kill the mother or whoever. How would that have played out had he actually listened to the voices in his head? Kill for me, Danny. Number 9. How would it have played out if there was only... What if there was only one version? What if they didn't have a producer's cut? What if there was that hybrid? Maybe they put them all together and made one version. How that would have fared better? I think it probably would have fared better at the theaters because there's bits and pieces from each version that people like. And if you blend the two together, it's definitely a better film. I do like the theatrical cut, but I do like aspects of the producer's cut. So what if there was only one cut? They didn't have that. Not every movie's got multiple cuts. That didn't... Like movies coming out with director's cuts really didn't come out till the 2000s. That's when all that shit started. So what if there wasn't 2 cuts and there was only one hybrid and that actually made it to the theater? I think it would have done better. And of course, the biggest what if of this film, number 10. What if Donald Pleasant didn't pass away during the ending of filming? What if he was still alive? Could there have been a different ending? Could there have been different scenes? How would that have turned out? Because they had to do reshoots around his passing. What if our beloved Donald Pleasance had survived and not passed away? What other ending could they have come up with? How else could it have changed things had he still been alive towards the end of filming? That to me is the biggest what if. And there you have it. There's another 10 what ifs, this time for Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. What are your what ifs? Did you think of any in this film? What if something turned out differently in this film, according to you? How would it have changed events? Let me know if something you thought of. Comment down below. I do answer every comment that I do get. And let me know what you thought. Maybe things you could have just thought how this could have changed this, how this could have changed that. And that's what's fun about these things. And of course, I'm gonna work my way through the rest of them, and I might do some what ifs for some of the. Probably go into Friday the 13th because that's my second favorite franchise, and Lord knows there's plenty of meat on those bones to do some what ifs from those films. But hope you enjoyed this. Hit that like button. Helps everybody find this channel. Find a crazy person like myself. Halloween content, horror, you name it, all that shit's here. And if you're not subscribed already, help a brother out. Subscribe to the channel. Try to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark by the end of this year. So hit that subscriber button. It don't cost nothing. Help a brother out. And check out the channel. There's tons of other Halloween stuff on here, horror stuff on here. We do our horror podcast, That Horror Movie Podcast, right here. We do it every Sunday night live. Make sure you join in. It's a lot of fun. We just hang out and just talk horror shit and break each other's balls. But I will see you on the next What If. Check everything out. And until then, I'll talk to you soon.